got a little bit more apart now. So right now I'm looking at the pods that go to the Footwell, and yeah, there's one for each side over here. This is kind of the earlier models. They have one round one on each side. The later ones have kind of a more rectangular, looks more like a door lock actuator that goes here, right behind where the climate control is. And you can kind of see what that does when you go up here. And if I just manually operate that, see, you can see that there's a flap over there, and that opens up so that the footwell. So, and it's the same on this side over here too. Yeah. So that's the one I'm replacing now. And to get it out, it's kind of similar to the diverter pod, how I did that one, where basically there's 3 holes and then there's clips holding it on. And so I basically on this side broke those little feet off, and then I was able to pull it out. For the part here, you can just use a screwdriver and push it, and it will come out of the little hook. Parts are still available for that, so I got 2 new parts. I'll be getting those in there, and yeah, I have those 3 pods on order, so those are coming in soon, and then I'll be in good shape. Oh yeah, the center pod here that I've taken apart, that one I have a performance analysis kit that's coming. Should be here tomorrow. Okay, this is probably maybe the worst one so far, but to get out the center pod, I already kind of mentioned about how you do it. You basically just turn it clockwise, like this way. I use 2 screwdrivers to do it. So now I'm putting it back in. I have the Performance Analysis 2010 diaphragm in there, and yeah, that was a little interesting. You definitely want to have your tester, and I just kind of put some vacuum on it when I'm putting it together to make sure that it's good. It took a couple tries, but I got it. And so when I went to go put it back in, I ended up marking the top. You can see I put little scratches on it so that I know that's the top, because it is wrong. You can put this in wrong. And so anyways, I just got it started here, so now I'm going to go ahead and turn it counterclockwise with some screwdrivers. But just getting to this point took a while. And then of course, when you're taking it off, you take off this part here first. You just have a screwdriver, you just wedge it in, pop this loose, then you can manipulate this no problem. I'll hook that hose up in just a second, and I'm going to get this seated first. I just definitely don't want to lose this. So yep, that was a fun one. All right, I'm making some progress here with the vacuum pod. So I thought this was bad. I was testing it. This is the defrost pod. It goes right here, and it actuates this part right here. So here it is, closed, open. Yeah, anyways, I was basically, I'll have to clean that up. I verified with the hand pump that this one looks good. So, you know, just trying both the top one and the bottom one, and they're both working great. Okay, there's the bottom one. Here's the top one. Good. Yeah, so this one has a timestamp from 2008 on it, and since it works good, I'm just gonna leave this one alone for right now. And I do have 3 parts in the mail, and they're basically 3 tops like this. They're the 124 800 3075 is the part number, and you may have to rearrange the plugs. I'm not exactly sure, but basically it's supposed to be the same. Like it's a two-stage pod like this. And so I was going to replace one over here, the defrost, and then the main. And because it's really hard to find that part, I'm just going to go ahead and keep this one for right now. I have some that are supposed to be on the way. One for sure made it, but then they canceled the order. I ordered it on eBay, and they said it's not available either, so they canceled on me. And so now the only hope I have is through Autohaus AZ, which doesn't look good. But defrost is not super important. I'm going to put that here. And I did order an extra diaphragm from the performance analysis. And so here's what the inside of those two-stage pods looks like. And the pods I have, which I've taken apart down here, both of the pods that I have, the top part works just fine. And so I'm going to keep that as is. And then I do have one more diaphragm here that's brand new from performance analysis. So I'm going to just put this in and put that one for this side. And then when I get the new part in, I'll put it in over there. And I think at that point, I'll call it good. So that's the game plan. Here's the demo when I got it pumped. Let's see, you can see the pressure over here. Yep, 5 psi. So yeah, it's pumped, and if I let go, there it goes. See how it's like that? So basically, I'm plugged into the bottom one, which is going to pull the stage 2 down just enough to get a good seal here with the stage 1. So then you can use your hands to kind of wrap it all around there nicely. Then you put the bottom on. Took a couple days, but I got a new vacuum pod for the 300D. So this is one I'm going to definitely put in the driver's vent. And then I got even more lucky where I ordered some from a couple places. They all said they're out of stock. I ordered from Autohaus AZ, and they got 2 in the mail. So I should have 2 more of these too. And basically once I get them, what I'm going to do is take this bottom part off. And once the bottom part's off, you can just, the rest of it's the same. So, but just in case, I had rebuilt one of the pods that I had, and one of the pods I had was from 2008. So this one is brand new. I think looking at the number, I'm guessing that that's like January 3rd, 2020. So this is even newer. The other thing I'm looking at is with my odometer, I've had a problem. I had it fixed, and basically the back part here had a broken gear, and so I had this fixed at a place, and after that my odometer started working again. But now it has a problem where the trip is kind of stuck, and so you can see the miles on the top go up, but the trip meter down below does not go up. And this is pretty crazy. I've been looking at it for a while, and I've taken this apart even further than this, and ultimately there's like where the plastic's rubbing, and this part here where those 2 pieces, it gets caught down below. So instead of troubleshooting that, I have another one here from a newer car, and so I'm just getting the mileage set properly. And so I'm going to go ahead and just swap this one piece over on top of the other one. The other parts from this cluster won't work because it has different ratios. So I'll just only swap the numbers part. So I'm going to get it. I'm just making sure it works right. But yeah, you can already see how it's nice and smooth. So yeah, and then resetting it is just fine too. So yeah, it just needs a little bit more room, but that's okay. So yeah, this should fix the problem, and then I got those vacuum pods there too, so this should come together this weekend. And here we go. Got this all fixed up and working great. So put the mileage back to what exactly it was before swapping out that piece. It's all connected, ready to go. So the pods I got, basically the top part is the same, but there is a little bit of difference in the way that the bottom is aligned. So when you have both pieces aiming the same way, over here like to the right, for example, and then you look at the bottom is different, and this does matter for how it screws in. So basically this one needs to be, this is kind of the top. So if you see here, I need to rotate it one position over. And I just test fit it to make sure, and I marked that that's the, basically when you put that in, that's the top one. And so if I put it in and then rotate it, you can see it's not going to face up, it's facing the wrong way. So if I move it over one position, then I should be getting like this, and then I can put it back in here. So there's that little bracket that it has to screw into. So since this is new, it's pretty easy to get to these tabs, and you can even see the diaphragm. Look at that, it looks great. I'm gonna just pop these loose and then just rotate it over one. Use my vacuum pump to get the diaphragm in there for the bottom one, and make sure it's nice and good. And then this is ready to go in. And basically the bottom part, I just swapped it. My old one was a little bit different. It had like this piece, so I kept the plastic piece from the new one, and then just put the metal rod for the old one back on. Yeah, because this is different. I'm not exactly sure which one this goes to. I'll put the part number for this pod, but basically if you do this little trick and align it, you can use that for all three pods. And so I got those other two coming in soon. Here's the last two pods from Auto Haas AZ. So really glad they were able to pull that through for me. And I got one new pod over here, and then these two are pretty much good. I mean, this one is 2008 is what the date says on it, and then the other one I rebuilt with a performance analysis diaphragm for the bottom. The top one was holding vacuum, I mean. And so it's they're probably good. I'm gonna go ahead and just take these out, set them aside, so they could be some good backups, or if somebody I know needs them, no problem. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and swap these pieces out here with these new ones. Now that it's all replaced, let's I just kind of put this top one on here real quick. Let's test them one at a time and just check if it's holding vacuum. So I'll just take this off. So there's my setup like that. So this is number one. All right, here's number one. Number two. Looks good. Number three. Looks great. And here's number four. Okay, looks good. Okay, number five. Great. Got number six, and that looks good. Camera won't focus, but it's actually good. Okay, yep. And the last one here, number 7. And that's holding great too. So, all right, now I'm pretty much ready to just go ahead and try a test on the car. Just kind of put this back a little bit more together, and then just operate the AC. Watch the flaps, make sure that they're working like they should, and then that'll be good enough to know whether we can put it back together or not.
Everything's looking pretty good here. I got my diverter pod is working back there. It's got that open. The flap down here is working too. Down here, the footwells, those are working great too. Got lots of air going. So yeah, overall working pretty good. And yeah, the lights, I replaced all the lights for each of the vents, so when that goes back together, that'll be ready to go. The trip meter's working good too, the one I replaced. Only thing I need to fix now is the speedometer. I didn't put the needle back on right, and then also resetting doesn't exactly work, so that's going to be a spring issue. I'll get that fixed too. So looking pretty good so far. Hey there, so at this point I'm probably 2 weeks into the dash, and so I'm about to wrap it up today. So let me show you what I got. Okay, so I got everything here for the cluster. I got the pods replaced with new pods, the pink ones. So 1, 2, 3. The footwell pods back here are replaced. You can see the vacuum line going to them. Let's see. Yeah, the diverter pod is replaced too. I think that might be it. So I went and just tested right now each of those vacuum lines. I just got my tester there, made sure that they're all leak free, that they're actuating what they're supposed to. Oh yeah, the center pod too. You know, so I've checked that one, made sure that's really good to go. And yeah, I had cleaned up quite a bit here too. So I think during one of the days during the week, I just took that hose off and washed it with some soapy water, including the inside of it real good. This side was a little harder to get off, so I just kind of left it, but I did clean a little bit. Yeah, once I got this system working and I hooked up the AC to it, and it started just blowing out all of this stuff. So it's good, everything's working. Yeah, I've seen each of the parts actuate, so yeah, I think I'm just gonna clean the windshield while I have everything off here. And then I kind of just made a list of like what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna get my dash in here and then start just feeding things through, like the instrument cluster wires. I got to start placing all of the wires to, you know, feed them through. They go to the vents. The speaker wires, I'll have to kind of get those too. And yeah, just looking at some of the parts that will go over here for the glove box. There's also, for the lower part here, I just got to remember to do this, but this goes to that, there's an auxiliary fan, and so that tube goes to somewhere. It might be the one that goes up here for capturing the inside air temperature, but yeah, this is the power for that, so that's in the lower panel, so I just got to remember that. The A-pillars, I've got to take these out first, so that's probably my next step actually. Then I'm just gonna, yeah, just lightly put the dash in here and start feeding the wires through. Once it's kind of ready, probably start with right here. There's those two bolt downs that you kind of lock up and secure. That there's like a clip that goes here, clip that goes here, and then there's a bolt that goes through it. Yeah. Yeah, and then my cluster, I did get everything fixed with my cluster. And so the only thing I couldn't fix myself was the speedometer. So I took it to a local place here. It's called Dick's Speedotech. And so they got that sorted for me. So you can see my trip resets, I did that. But they got the needle calibrated. Because, yeah, it's spring based, and then there's basically, you know, it's not electronic, it's got the spinny piece that goes in there. And so yeah, they calibrated that. Should be really good to go. I'll have to test it, but yeah, really happy to have that completely sorted now. So yeah, once the dash is back on, all this other stuff is
finally back in. Then I'll have the new wood. This car will be looking pretty good. So today will be a pretty good day. There's still a lot of stuff to do, but at this point I've basically got the dash on there. The most important part, I guess, when you're fitting it, getting the defroster portion of that, which goes to those pipes up here. I got that on there really nice. And even if it looks a little bit loose on this side, on the other side it wraps around perfectly. And so this is one of those things, there's no science to it. You just have to jiggle it, push it, be careful, but you know, you have to use a little bit of force, and definitely it helps when you take those two bolts that are here. I just took the nut off of them, and then I slid it behind here, so that way you know, it has enough room to move back there, and so it's starting to settle. You know, at this point I can pull on things, and already that wood is looking really good. So yeah, feeding the wires through, make sure, you know, here I got my speaker wire, I just need to get that through here, perfect. And then you can see here where the speaker bolts down, that'll physically bolt to the dash. There's one right here, one over here too. I'll have to tighten this up. I just loosened it just so that it can kind of find a way over there. So good, making progress. These are some of the parts I had to switch over from my old car. It had the screw and the bracket for the underside part, and then it also had for the glove box. And yeah, you'll want to feed your glove box wire over here too, so you don't forget about that when it's time to plug the light in. And once these two nuts are on here, pretty much I think you can take this piece, put it back in here. I'll just leave it out for a bit, because yeah, one of the next steps will be fitting the vents. And yeah, well, I got this here too, just make sure all my wires are through to the instrument cluster. Those are all accessible, no problem. Already I noticed there's like one I have to go and resolder here, so I'll take care of that a little bit later. But yeah, starting to make good progress here. Pretty happy with everything so far. So we'll see if that continues. Getting close to the finish line here. So at this point I got the vents in. The lights are all hooked up there. I got the center vent in, and that little nut is connected there. So this is it open, and then you can scroll it closed. Okay, and yeah, I got the glove box part all together. I just took a lot of fine tuning. A-pillars, I did have extras of those, which I'm really glad I did, because they broke on the way out. And yeah, I'll just have a little bit of small touch-ups. Kind of, yeah, you can see it's like a little bit off there. There's just lots of stupid small things like that you have to do when you're doing a job like this. So yeah, the wire that goes to the center vent was broken on mine, so I had an extra one. I just need to get this together. So I'll get that together, get the climate control back in here. And yeah, this broke too while I was in there, this little piece. But you know, it kind of stays, and then it screws onto the back of the climate control anyways. So I might just call it good. So see, it stays right here. That's good enough for me. And then it screws into the face of the climate control. So I think that's fine. So I just need to splice this, put the climate control back in, and at that point, yeah, I can start getting fancy here. I can put that wood back in. I got my radio wires all separated, ready to go. And then I have my new wood for here. After a bunch of work, I finally got it all done. So it's pretty close. There's a couple little things to do, I guess, but basically all of the hard stuff is done, and it looks really good. Okay, so yeah, here we go. New dash. Glove box with the wood. Got to adjust the steering wheel, make sure I got it lined up. Speedometer I just didn't push in yet because I just need to test it, but it should be really good to go. Alright. And yeah, look at this wood. So I'm gonna go take it for a drive, get the steering wheel finalized, put back. Fires right up. Okay, there we go. AC is blowing nice and strong. So nice to have these new vents. I mean, this is crazy, the airflow I'm getting. Alright, gonna call it good. Just gonna take it for a cruise, get a car wash tomorrow. But yeah, she's doing great. Thanks for watching.